Marvel fans, we must talk about Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. There have been some updates on the paused production, some of the injuries that Letitia Wright has suffered. I want to go over that, but I also want to very importantly go over recast T'Challa. I sat down and talked to E-Man's Movie Reviews, who is the man who started the recast T'Challa movement. If you have never heard that side of the story as to why people believe recasting T'Challa would actually be the best way to honor Chadwick's legacy, I highly recommend you keep watching this video until the end. Let's break it all down. What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Nerd Ventures Tower as per usual. This one's going to be a juicy video, and I do want to say, if you like some of the clips that we're going to show you here in this video, I highly recommend you go check out the first episode of the Den of Nerds podcast, a new podcast that I started, link in the description. I had an almost 2-hour conversation with E-Man's Movie Reviews all about the recast T'Challa movement, what it means for different people, and why many folks believe that's the true way to honor Chadwick's legacy. And then we also get into why Marvel might not feel this way. But let's first begin with an update. This came out a couple of days ago. It is an official email sent to the cast and crew by Kevin Feige, Nate Moore, and Louis Esposito. I want to sort of go over it with you. The first part is they're just kind of talking about, next year and getting, the film ready. But it says here, unfortunately, we have not gotten here without a few setbacks. Running a production of this scale in the midst of a pandemic is not an easy task, and you have all remained diligent and professional throughout. In addition, as you are all aware, Letitia had a frightening accident on our set during a stunt back in August. It was a reminder of the importance of safety at all times in our work, which we know you understand and are committed to. What we had initially thought were minor injuries turned out to be much more serious, with Letitia suffering a critical shoulder fracture and a concussion with severe side effects. It has been a painful process, and Letitia has been home recovering with her doctors and the support of family. We've adjusted our production schedule so she has the time she needs to heal, but there's only so much we can do without Shuri. We also want to thank Letitia for everything she's doing to get back to the set. We know how much she loves this role, how tough it's been for her to be away, and how hard she's working to recover as quickly as she safely can. We are eagerly awaiting her return, and we know we will all come back together stronger. Please be on the lookout for more information on your specific return to work date. As of now, we're on schedule to resume filming with Letitia in January 2022. We are all focused on finishing the movie with excellence, honoring the memory of our dear brother Chadwick in the process. We are thrilled to share Black Panther Wakanda Forever with the world, confident that the challenges that we have overcome together as a team will make the film even more impactful. Please take care of yourselves and enjoy the holidays. Kevin, Louis, and Nate. Now, what's interesting about this is they say stay tuned for a specific date. Right now, we are planning to come back in January. But a lot of people that I talk to, and a lot of people talking about this online, are not so sure they will actually make that date in January to come back, okay? So that's sort of part one. Part two, it does appear she had very serious injuries on the set, and so we definitely hope that she has a speedy recovery and a full recovery. There was some debate about this, right? Because initially we were said she was, returned from the hospital. It was all Gucci, and even in my last video, I was like, I'm not so sure. Are they covering up for something here? It really seems like she had serious injuries, and so my heart goes out to her. I really hope that she gets better fast. So that's the update. But what's interesting, folks, is we have a rare opportunity here, because this project has now been delayed, and it might be delayed even more than they are anticipating. And so it's now time for the fans to speak up about something that, I think we have sort of a rare opportunity to make known with time for Marvel to possibly correct a big mistake. Enter in E-Man's Movie Reviews and this podcast that he and I did together. I wanted to sit down with him and talk about recast T'Challa. Again, highly recommend you go check out the full podcast to get the whole almost 2-hour convo. But I want to show a couple of clips here, which I think do a great job of showing some really important information that you might not know about. I know this is a divided subject. I know there are people that don't necessarily agree that recasting T'Challa is the move, that what they currently have planned with the sister taking over and the potential child that will be at the end of the movie taking the mantle eventually. I know some of you feel like that is a good way to honor the legacy. However, there are some things that E-Man brings up in his extensive research that I don't think you've heard about, that Marvel isn't going to tell you about, and that's something you should just consider. First of all, let's talk about this part here where he is describing what caused him to make the recast T'Challa movement, mostly talking about what people in the family, like Chadwick's family, has said, things that Chadwick said in the past about different roles, and kind of making an idea of what we think Chadwick would want them to do with the Black Panther character. Here's the clip.
I was really sitting here wondering, like, man, what would Chadwick think about all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, has his family said anything? Has anything happened? His brother has come out. He's probably the only public figure that has actually expressed anything about Black Panther 2 in general. Derek Boseman. He essentially was asked, you know, what do you think about Black Panther 2, about your brother not being in it? What would you like to see? Just to give you a cliff notes, he was basically like, I would like to see Chad in it, obviously. And he also kind of delved into Disney's not interested in having a black male king. They want to have female. Now, these are his words,
Okay.
not mine.
Yep.
But that's the only thing on record from his family about that situation specifically.
Really? Okay, so he
It's
hasn't.
the only thing we know.
Right, so he hasn't spoken out after that at all, or it's kind of
Nothing after. So I went through, I mean, hours and hours of Chadwick Boseman interviews, his press runs, his junkets, just to see if there was anything that could give me some clues and hints about where his mindset would be.
right.
And, you know, I've played a couple of those things on my channel. But I think the two most prevalent and significant pieces of information that we learned, Roland Martin, who is another journalist. He has Roland Martin Unfiltered on YouTube, very, very big channel. He had text between him and Chadwick Boseman right before, like, I mean, weeks or so before Boseman had passed. And one of the things that Boseman said to him was, the roles that I take on, you know, Thurgood Marshall, Jackie Robinson, T'Challa, you know, those roles are bigger than me.
Right.
They're bigger than myself. I want people to see the roles, not me.
Yeah.
That's how Chadwick Boseman wanted to be remembered. He wanted us to see Thurgood Marshall. He wants you to see Jackie Robinson. He wants you to see T'Challa, not him. The next piece of the other, I think, more significant one was another interview with Chadwick. And he specifically talks about Black Panther 2 in this interview. And he talks about how he and other actors find it debilitating and frightening whenever audiences or people say and confine these actors to just one role. When they say things like, only this person can be this role. There can only be one of this actor for this role. And he talks about how that creates a divide, a sense of divisiveness, even between the actors. They find that frightening. They don't like that, because what it does is it cuts off opportunities for them.
Right.
If no one else could be Superman, you would never get a Henry Cavill, you know, after Christopher Reeve passed. If no one else could do better than Jack Nicholson, we'd never get Heath Ledger. These are things that actors are not concerned with. They're not they find it an honor or a privilege to step into these roles in the long lineage of other great actors. They want to add their name to those lists. So for me, I was kind of thinking like, okay, if Chadwick felt this way, I think it's reasonable to, at least with some deductive reasoning here, to assume that he would want this role to continue.
Okay, so pretty crazy clip there. This is stuff that I was not aware of. I think it's pretty compelling information, and I think it's pretty safe to say that we can sort of deduct that, yes, Chadwick would want them to recast T'Challa, as T'Challa is such an important role. The character is bigger than him. That's what he believed about these different roles. And I think it's a big, big deal for a lot of different people out there, whether they're just a comic book fan that likes the character or there's somebody in the Black community that needs that kind of a hero to look up to. Okay. So now I want to show you another clip where I sort of ask E-Man, like, hey, with this delay here, do we think we've got the ability to do something? Is this the time to maybe really make some noise? Does he think that now we can actually get this movement to Marvel? He has a really interesting answer, and he also kind of gives a little bit up of about what he knows about the film, which actually really surprised me when it comes to Wakanda Forever. I think it'll surprise you as well. Check out the clip now. The whole situation is weird. To me, it feels like a lot of death by a thousand cuts. From her earlier conversations, the video, just everything. Even Martin Freeman came out in some interviews and was like, I don't know about this. Like, basically said, I hope we're doing the right things. I hope fans will like this. So there seems to be all these different things. I guess my biggest question is, are we now in a position, because of all of these things that are happening, where if Marvel does have to take some kind of substantial break, is there a chance that recast T'Challa makes its way to some people like Nate Moore, like Kevin Feige, like Coogler? Is there any possibility that within this situation that there becomes hope that they might rethink things? What do you think?
I would say two things. One, they are aware of recast T'Challa. I've personally brought it to their attention. I know people that know them directly, and I sent it to those people to send to them.
Yeah.
So, it's on their radar. They have specifically told me that, not Nate Moore specifically, but Disney reps and stuff, that they don't want to comment on the situation. That's fine. I never anticipated that they would want to, because it would be too spoilery and revealing. I guarantee you, I've told people this about the whole petition, it's going to go in ebbs and flows. Like, when it first came out, yes, it's going to spark some controversy, whatever, but it's going to die down. When more news and interviews come out on the topic, the petition is going to go up, which it has. When the trailer drops, it'll come back up. When the movie drops, it'll come back up. So it's going to be an ongoing conversation, which I've always wanted it to be.
Right.
Which is why I don't care whether Marvel listens or not. I want the conversations to happen, because I know a lot of people are not considering, a lot of the things that we talked about earlier. But to the second point about it being a possibility, I've tried to tell people this before, because people were like, hey man, you did the petition, it had a nice little run, but Marvel already started production. You might as well give it up. They already made their choice. And I'm like, so? Like, Marvel literally changes things at the drop of a dime. They cut Doctor Strange from WandaVision at the last moment.
Yeah.
In post-production. We just had a story from Tom Holland talking about how, because of COVID delaying Doctor Strange 2, which was supposed to come out before Spider-Man,
right, yeah,
they changed the plot of Spider-Man because of that. And they pushed Spider-Man ahead of Doctor Strange 2. Yeah. So it's matter of fact, there was another story about how the Hulk, his entire story arc in Age of Ultron, got changed based off of a leak of a rumor that Marvel was going to do a Planet Hulk movie. So it's one of those things where I'm like, Marvel can do whatever they want to do, including recast T'Challa, as long as they have the incentive to do it. But this is why I'm trying to get people to have these conversations, because a lot of people don't think beyond whatever Marvel just says. You didn't think about, oh, what did Chadwick think? What did his family think? Does this make sense for the story? Will this actually be good for the franchise? A lot of those things are not being thought about. And that's why I'm trying to really push that into the consciousness, into the society right now, because I'm like, hey, this is a much deeper conversation that warrants way more than a couple of minutes for a quick decision. Like, I cannot think of a successful franchise that has been built without its lead character. Where you just explore the world of Wakanda. Guarantee you most people can't even name half of the tribes in Wakanda based off of the first movie, because it was never about that. It was always about T'Challa.
For sure.
So can a recast happen? Absolutely. Why could it possibly happen? It would only happen if more people wake up and put pressure on Marvel. And I'm not saying bully Marvel. What I'm saying is people need to understand the significance of T'Challa, that he's not expendable, that this role actually is vital, not even just for historic reasons, but for future reasons in the franchise. I keep telling people, we do not care about mantles the way you think they're trying to make us care about them. When you play hot potato with the mantle, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this in the comics, how many people have been Phoenix?
Yeah.
I don't even care anymore.
Right.
Because they've passed it around like to so many people.
But something you just said made me think, first of all, like, how are they even going to do this movie without T'Challa even after he dies? Because aren't they going to go into the spirit realm? Like, that is a huge part of the entire thing with the Black Panther. So how are they going to do, like, would he not be with the other Panthers in the afterlife?
This is where I have to be careful, because I don't want to, I don't think that you're going to get what you think you're going to get.
What?
Yeah. I don't want to give stuff away. Like, I'll just say this. They will take care of, they will not show him. So if people thinking about CGI and all that stuff, they're not going to do that.
So he's not even going to be seen?
No, they're going to do, well, yes and no. You will not see like somebody running around in the Panther suit. You're not going to see,
he dies off screen
distance. And
bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Kind of yes and no. I'll say this. I'll say this.
Yeah.
Think about how they told the story in the beginning of the first Black Panther.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. Yeah.
And apply that to what they will approach to do in the second one.
Bruh, I don't want to see him die in some weird animation thing. No, I don't want it. But guys, again, recommend you go check out the full podcast, which I will link in the description. It's a great conversation. But here are sort of my overall thoughts just after I had this conversation with E-Man. I thought a lot about this. I'm definitely going to go sign the petition over on change.org, and I recommend you do the same if you're feeling it. If not, don't feel pressured into doing it. But I personally believe that it's really important, because ultimately T'Challa as a character is a big, big deal. This is a big thing for a bunch of different folks. I think this character is way too important, not just the Black Panther aspect, but the character of T'Challa, who they spent so much time building up in Civil War and then in the first Black Panther movie. I think this character just means too much to too many people. He's too important to big Marvel stories that are coming down the line. And I think Marvel is not doing anything malicious here. I don't think Disney or Marvel is doing this on purpose. It's just one of those situations where they might not be seeing the full truth of what's actually going down, how important the character is, and what the right thing to do would be. And during our conversation, E-Man brought up this thing with the Ancient One and how Feige has recently talked about how, making the Ancient One into a Celtic white woman was actually a mistake. And even though they didn't want to do the Tibetan thing and they didn't want to do the racial thing of making the old wise Asian master the master of the mystic arts, that was probably an okay line of thinking. But then to do it with like a white Celtic woman was kind of crazy, and he agrees now is a bad decision. What this means is that Marvel can do the wrong thing for the right reasons. Okay, they've done it in the past. That's what he thinks about that. And however you feel about that situation or what happened with removing Tibet, regardless of all of that, it sets as an example that Marvel's even willing to admit that something they did for what they think was the right reason. After a while and getting more feedback from fans, they can realize that it was a mistake. And so we have a rare opportunity now with the production of Wakanda Forever being delayed with a lot of problems surrounding that thing. Fans can now stand up, let their voice be heard, and perhaps at least give pause to the people that are working on this project. They don't have to release this at any certain time. They can shift things around. So something else we talked about in the podcast, they changed up the story of Spider-Man. They removed Doctor Strange from WandaVision. They can change things around. This is a unique moment where fans should make their voice be heard. And another thing I want to say before we get out of here. Nobody that I know that's reasonable wants a boycott of Wakanda Forever or wants Wakanda to be diminished in the MCU. This is still a really great thing. It's awesome for nerds. It's awesome for the Black community. It's awesome for this idea of Black excellence. It has a lot of positive attributes. And nobody that I've heard talk about this wants the film to suffer, wants the cast and crew to suffer, wants anything to do with Wakanda or this franchise to suffer. People are just simply trying to speak up about something that they think Marvel is just missing. It's not a malicious thing. We don't think they're doing this intentionally, but we do think they are making a mistake. And so that's something I just wanted to bring to your attention with this video, with this podcast. Go check out the petition, go check out the podcast, and feel free to let me know your thoughts about this situation in the comments of this video. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to our channel to see more of our content pop up in your recommended feed. Go check out the live streaming channel where we talk about all kinds of fun, nerdy stuff live and in the moment. It's always a good time over there. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.